Why is it that buying a Rolex in 2025 can feel more like joining an exclusive club than simply purchasing a watch? For many buyers, it's frustrating. You walk into a boutique with cash in hand, but instead of a straightforward transaction, you're met with mysterious waitlists, empty cases, and vague promises that leave you walking out with nothing. The truth is, Rolex Authorized Dealers, or ADs, operate with layers of strategy and secrecy that most newcomers don't see. And today, we're going to pull back the curtain. Time to get into it. Let's start with the most obvious tactic, the empty display case. At first glance, it looks like Rolex simply can't keep up with demand. But ask around collector forums or speak to those who've dealt with ADs for years, and a different picture emerges. Many buyers describe moments where they walked in, were told nothing available, and then watched another client, often someone clearly familiar to the staff, get offered a piece from the back room. One collector recalled, "I asked about a Submariner, was told they didn't have any. 10 minutes later, a guy in a tailored suit walked in, greeted the manager by name, and walked out with one." The empty case isn't always about scarcity, it's theatre. By keeping the displays barren, ADs amplify the sense of exclusivity, making it feel like even seeing a model in person is rare, let alone buying one. Then there's the infamous waitlist. Officially, ADs insist these lists are fair and first come, first served. In reality, they are carefully curated. Collectors testify over and over that unless you've built a purchase history, buying jewelry, lesser-known Rolex models, or even entirely different brands the dealer carries, your name essentially sits at the bottom. One buyer described waiting 2 years for a GMT Master 2, only to discover that his friend, who had recently spent thousands on engagement jewelry at the same AD, got the exact watch within months. Another noted that the staff explicitly told him, "We prioritize clients who support the store across categories, not just Rolex." In other words, the waitlist isn't really a line, it's a loyalty ladder. And then we come to what may be the most controversial suspicion of all, the grey market connection. Over and over, collectors point out how puzzling it is that newly released Rolex models seem to flood secondary dealers' inventories within days. How could grey market sellers consistently have 5, 10, or even 20 pieces available when regular buyers can't get one? The conclusion many draw is that some ADs may quietly sell directly to grey market resellers, either through backroom deals or preferred channels. Officially, Rolex condemns flipping and claims to monitor supply. But once a watch leaves the distribution chain, there's little the brand can do. This fuels the perception that ADs themselves could be feeding the very scarcity they complain about. The psychological effect of all this is powerful. By making the process feel exclusive, mysterious, and borderline unattainable, ADs transform Rolex into something more than a product. It becomes a status test. One seasoned collector put it bluntly, "Buying a Rolex isn't about the money, it's about proving you're worthy in the eyes of the dealer. Until you've earned it, you're invisible." And that's the hidden truth about Rolex ADs. They're not just selling watches, they're selling control, access, and the feeling of being chosen. If the empty cases and mysterious waitlists weren't enough, there are even more tactics Rolex Authorized Dealers use behind the scenes that most buyers never realize. One of the most infamous is bundling. This is when an AD essentially ties the watch you want to something you didn't ask for. For example, you come in hoping for a stainless steel Submariner. Instead of handing one over, the dealer might suggest you consider a two-tone Datejust that's been sitting in the case for months, or maybe even a diamond necklace for your partner. Collectors share stories of being told directly, "If you want a Daytona, you need to build your purchase history." That phrase, purchase history, is AD code. It means buying jewelry, precious metal models, or even watches from brands outside Rolex that the store also sells. The stainless steel sports Rolex you're after becomes a carrot on a stick, only available once you've proven your loyalty with your wallet. But that's only part of the story. ADs also engage in client profiling. They don't treat every buyer equally, and most don't even realize they're being judged the moment they step in the door. Collectors who walk in wearing another luxury watch, speaking fluently about references and calibers, are often taken seriously. Those who rush in immediately ask for a Daytona and admit they've never owned a Rolex. They're usually dismissed politely. Some ADs even keep notes on clients, tracking your clothing style, what car you drove up in, and how you responded to previous offers. Did you turn down a less popular date just last time? They'll remember. Did you seem overly eager, hinting you might flip the watch? That'll get noted too. This invisible grading system determines whether you're seen as a long-term collector or a one-off buyer. And then there's the reality of blacklisting. Few talk about it, but it's real. Collectors have reported being offered less desirable models, refusing them, and suddenly finding themselves cut off from future calls. One man described how, after declining a gold yachtmaster he didn't want, his AD stopped responding to inquiries entirely. Another admitted, "I thought saying no wouldn't matter, but once you're flagged as picky, it's like you're invisible." In essence, ADs want to know that you'll buy what they give you when they give it. Refuse too many times, and you risk being quietly sidelined. Why does all of this happen? The answer lies in psychology. Rolex knows that desire is amplified by scarcity. ADs are tasked not just with selling watches, but with cultivating exclusivity. By creating hoops to jump through, bundling, profiling, and hidden hierarchies, they turn what should be a purchase into a journey. And the more frustrating that journey is, the more rewarding it feels when you finally get the call. It's a brilliant manipulation of supply and demand, and it keeps Rolex on top. But here's the part most beginners don't realize. Even seasoned collectors aren't immune. Many with decades of experience will admit that buying from an AD is still like playing a game where the rules are deliberately vague. Some say they've built entire collections of jewelry and lesser Rolex models just to secure one Daytona or GMT. Others confess that despite years of loyalty, they still get passed over in favor of a newer, flashier client who looks like they'll spend more. The game isn't just about watches, it's about perception, about how valuable you are to the AD beyond a single sale. And then there's the grey market shadow looming over all of it. Time and again, collectors notice that the very models deemed impossible to get appear in grey dealer inventories almost instantly, often in multiples. How can that happen unless some ADs are feeding those channels? While Rolex denies this practice and claims to monitor distribution, once a watch leaves the boutique, Rolex has no control. That leaves a lingering suspicion that ADs themselves, directly or indirectly, are fueling the scarcity by ensuring hyped models hit the grey market instead of the display case. At the end of the day, this is what ADs hide. The fact that they're not just selling watches, they're selling access, loyalty, and the illusion of scarcity. One collector put it perfectly. Buying a Rolex isn't about choosing a watch, it's about proving yourself worthy of one. So the next time you step into a Rolex boutique, remember, the empty cases, the long wait lists, the whispered promises, they're not accidents, they're strategies. And once you understand the game, you can decide for yourself whether to play by their rules or look elsewhere for the watches you love. If you found this breakdown of Rolex AD secrets eye-opening, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss our weekly watch insights. Until next time, stay stylish and stay informed.